All right. Well, friends, I have top of the hour. So we're going to get started on our third class of this beginner's yoga series. My name is Tonya, if we haven't met yet. And this is part three of four of our beginner's yoga series that Comeback Yoga is offering here on our YouTube channel. Comeback Yoga is a nonprofit organization based out of Denver, Colorado. We serve veterans, active duty military, and your support team. I'm so grateful to be here with you today as our part three in this series. Today, so if you have followed along, part one and part two, we did mostly standing postures. Part three, we're going to be doing today is more seated postures. If you don't need a yoga mat for today, but sometimes it's nice if you're on the floor at least to have some padding underneath you. At least for me, for my body, I need a little extra padding. Um, Also, you'll need some kind of a pillow. I just have a round yoga cushion, meditation cushion, but it can be just a pillow. And then either a large towel, bath towel, or a blanket that you were going to use today. So those are the two basic props that you'll need for today's lesson. And we are here for just maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so today. And then on next week, same time next week, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, if you're joining live, we'll be working on putting it all together. So, everything we've done from week one to week four, we'll be putting it all together. So, it's kind of a building up to week four. Come week four, it may be week four, may be a class that you just put on repeat and you do every other day, a couple times a week. Once you have gotten some of these fundamental poses down, then the flow that we do next week might seem pretty straightforward. But hopefully, this has opened your eyes up to all the different postures that we do in yoga and the different transitions that get us from one pose to another. Uh, so today we're going to start out with actually a little bit of breathing. So we haven't done too much of that yet, but the breathing practices are a really important component in yoga. And sometimes the instructor may be putting something out there that feels confusing or um, maybe even challenging. So I want you to think about how your breath guides the movement. I did talk about that a little bit last time, but want you to really think about um, the. We're going to work with a breath today called the victorious breath. And the victorious breath is a breath that helps build some warmth in the body. It helps bring attention to our breathing, and it also just helps us to slow down a little bit and to create a sense of understanding of our sensation that's occurring in our body. So it brings us from what's going on maybe around us or what's happening in our head to what's happening then in our body. And this is again a really important tool that yoga brings to us, not only here on the yoga mat, but also out in the world when we're navigating all of life. And it just helps to support our resiliency, helps to bring us to a little bit more of a state of resilience. So, like to have you just get comfortable. You could be in a chair if you like for this, or maybe you're laying down. And we're going to start just by placing the hand in front of our mouth. And if you have glasses like I do, or if you've ever wanted to clean something off of a window or a mirror, you kind of breathe some of your air, hot air from your body onto that mirror. And so we're going to do that here with our hand, with our mouth onto our hand. So I want you to take a deep breath in and you'll open your mouth and then breathe out as you breathe against your hand. And hopefully you felt maybe a little warmth, maybe even feeling a little bit of humidity. So we'll do that a couple times. It's a fogging effect, right? So inhale, exhale. One more time. Okay. So we're going to take that same concept of the victorious breath, and instead of breathing on our hand, we're just going to breathe. But I want you to close your lips and you're going to create a soft kind of an O shape in your mouth. So it's going to help to maybe even soften the throat a little bit, create a little bit more openness to allow the breath to come out. So you're doing this without opening your mouth and without the hand. So let's give it a try. So I don't know if you can hear through the microphone, if you can actually hear my voice or hear my breath. So this is what we're looking for, what we're trying to listen for in our own breath. So let's do it again. I don't know if you could hear that or not. It's usually a lot better to hear it on the mic rather than in person because in person you'd have to get really close to me to hear that. So let's try it again. All right. So it may have made you feel a little bit dizzy. Sometimes it does me. That might be just because you're not used to breathing out long. Okay. So now what we're going to do is try to breathe in that same way. It's creating that little openness. There's some space in the mouth, the jaw is relaxed, and let's try it. So just relax your breath, relax your body, and breathe in, and then breathe out. Again, in and breathe out. Breathe in and out. Let's do one more round. Good. How was that? Was that a little easier then to hear it and to experience it, hearing your own breath, hearing how it should sound? And really it's the sound of the ocean. Sometimes people explain it, or it sounds, if you're a Star Wars fan, um, it is the sound of Darth Vader. So that is what it is that we're looking for, what we're listening for. Okay. So that's something that you can do maybe throughout these movements that we're going to do today. So if it feels strenuous, then don't do it at all. If it feels relaxing and easeful, then go ahead and do it and incorporate it in. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit up on um, the cushion and you're gonna take, uh, so elevating your seat up on the cushion, so you're a little bit higher. Unfortunately, this cushion is the same color as the mat, so that's hard to tell, but sitting up on a cushion. And then if you have a towel or a blanket, you're gonna go ahead and fold it or unroll it or whatever, and making it longer than, let's say, your torso. Okay, so it's long. And then you're gonna fold it so that it's like that. So a normal bath towel, that might be about the length of a normal bath towel, maybe a little shorter than this. So you're going to take that and you're going to take it across your ankles here and then bring it behind your feet. And then your knees are going to come out wide like so. So you're sitting up and you're having that blanket. So it comes across the feet or the ankles and behind. You can tuck it behind and it's going to support your knees here like this. So it should feel comfortable where there's no strain on your spine and no strain on the knees. So something I'll show from the side here is that we don't want to be sitting like this. We want to be sitting more a little bit taller. So this is where sitting on the cushion can really help. So just getting nice and tall through your spine, and you can even use your hands to support you. So it should feel fairly effortless, not a lot of strain there. All right, so we're gonna move a little bit here. This is called butterfly pose. So butterfly pose is a very common pose. Seated butterfly, and then there's a reclined butterfly. So let's just take the fingertips out to the side and turn one palm up, and we'll take a side bend up and over for a side bend. And then stretch there, take another breath in, and then release your arm down. All right, let's do the other side, turning that palm up, stretching it up and over, taking an extra breath in there, breathing in and then breathing out. And inhale, coming up and releasing the arm down. Okay, so untuck one of your feet and straighten your leg out to the side, like so. So, again, supporting the knee, giving a little bit of support there. Okay, so this pose, um, we're going to turn towards the bent knee. Your other arm comes out along the straight leg. Another side bend, reaching your arm up and over for that side bend. And then let's reach your arm up and down. 2 more times. Inhaling and then exhaling up and over. Inhale, linking the breath and movement, and exhale, lowering down. One more time. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, up and over. And we'll hold this here for 2 more breaths. And bring it on up. All right, good. So untucking that foot. And if you like to have a little support there, then just kind of tuck that blanket or that towel underneath the knee. This will help to support if you have any knee issues, or again, if you're tight in the back, this will support that. So let's go ahead and turn towards the straight leg or bent knee, I mean, and then slide over. So try not to fold just in half. It's really an extension, side bending, keeping the torso open and keeping the armpit towards the ceiling. And then come up and over. So again, you don't have to go far with this. So come up, keep turning towards your bent knee, and maybe your arm doesn't even come all the way, depending on if you have tightness in the shoulder. And then come down. We'll do one more. So again, it might just be a little bit of a bend. And we'll hold this for 2 or 3 breaths. Option is to arm out to the side for any shoulder injuries or issues. All right, we'll take that down. All right, so now let's take the legs forward. Same thing here. We can place a blanket underneath the knees like so. This is going to just give us a little bend in the knees for a fold. Your legs can be straight forward, or maybe they're a little bit at a diagonal, still sitting up tall on the cushion. We'll take the fingertips behind as we push down slightly, and this might give us a little bit of a hinge forward. From there, if it feels like you could go more without rounding and collapsing in the back like so. So see, your chest is lifting forward, your spine is articulating, and you can take your chest forward a little bit. From here, you might place your hands on your legs somewhere, maybe on your feet, again, without straining in the breath. So noticing what's happening with your breath as you come over your legs. We'll hold this for 2 or 3 more breaths, extending your spine long, extending your torso long, and you might even let the chin come slightly towards the chest for the last 2 breaths. All right, very good. And then coming on upright, let's come into a twist now. So still sitting up on your cushion. You don't need the blanket here right now. One leg is going to stay straight. You'll hug the other one in and either hold on to the shin or the ankle and bring your foot across. So this is, let's say, maybe one stage, depending on how um, your knee is. The next stage would be to tuck that knee under. Most people I see, at least beginners, this isn't quite available yet in your body. So we're going to practice it today without that. Now, I actually would like to have a little something under my knee so you don't want to avoid hyperextending the knee. So here we are. We're going to again sit up tall. Your hand comes behind for that length. Your chest is lifting. Your collarbones are broad and your shoulders are broad. If you start from a rounded position, it's compromising in the spine. So we want to find nice length here. Hand again either on the knee or the shin, and maybe it's available to hook your knee. But again, we don't want to compromise through the spine here, so we want to sit up tall. Most importantly is that you're nice and tall, rotating from your base all the way up. And then if it feels okay on your neck is to actually turn your head back behind you and look over that shoulder. All right, and then we'll come back through center and pause before we do the second side. All right, let's switch sides. Foot coming across. And again, depending, I talked about proportions in the first class, so you might go back to that. Some of these depends on proportions. Sitting up on your cushion, tall, you can lift and rotate, turning your head to the back wall, draw your knee in, or if that means compromising your back, then leave your knee um, moving and relaxed away from your torso. Take 2 more breaths, just looking over the back shoulder. And coming on back to center. Good. Okay, we're going to take one more fold here, and then we're going to come onto our back for just a brief thing. So your legs are going to go out wide. I like to have a little blanket under the knees here, or you can have that towel. Again, you're sitting on a cushion, which is under the hips. And we're going to use those hands again behind for some length. And here we can come forward a little bit, maybe placing the hands on the lap, maybe placing the hands on the ground. And sending your spine long and forward, maybe coming down to the forearms, taking some nice, long, deep, victorious breaths here. 2 more breaths. Just feeling the lengthening come. All right, and bringing yourself on up. All right. Bringing those legs forward. Okay. So there's so many different poses that are um, part of the yoga that it's impossible in a 4-week beginner series to cover every single pose. So I'm covering the poses that I find to be some of the most important poses, but that might mean that there's classes that you take that you're finding that there's new poses that you're being introduced to. So just know that that there's more poses to be covered, but 4 weeks is really not quite long enough. Probably need to be a year-long beginner's course. Okay, so we're gonna come down onto our back and gonna walk the feet in. Feet are gonna be about hip distance apart. And from here, you're just gonna press your hands down into the ground and notice. And we do just what is a little bit of a bridge pose. Um, if it feels okay for you, we bring those hips up towards the ceiling, just a few inches, and then engage the backside of your body and release the hips back down to the ground. So that is our bridge pose. You can hold that longer if you like next time. Otherwise, we just do it enough to build some strength in the back of the body, just like we do with our cobra poses. All right, so while we're here, let's just let those feet go out a little wider, the knees fall together, and just resting the arms out to the sides, somewhere along your body, or into a T position. All right, let's come into a figure 4 for the hips. So you'll take one ankle on the opposite knee. That foot can stay on the ground, or you can draw the knees in towards the chest. Finding the breath. And take it down. Switch sides. And taking it down. We'll do one more for the front of the body. So come on to your side. Option is grabbing your top ankle. Next option is to actually come onto your stomach and reach for your foot here. So this is a frog pose variation. You can come up onto the forearm. And you can be on your stomach. And of course, you think of this, as like a very standard stretch for the quad. You could do this standing, but in yoga, this is called frog, half frog. We have two different kinds of frogs in yoga. What we're going to do now is come into a half bow. So you're going to push your foot into your hand and then push down into your forearm. So your chest lifts slightly for a half bow pose. So there shouldn't be any strain in your back. You get a nice stretch for your chest and then come down. And then let's switch sides. So if you can start this on your side and then come onto your stomach. So that's an option. Okay. So we'll hold wherever you've ended up, whether you're still on your side or you've made your way onto your stomach. Let's hold for 3 more breaths, and then we'll find our half bow. Okay. So you're pushing your foot back into your hand, and you're pulling on your foot with your hand as you lift up. That's going to find that lift to push down into the forearm for that half bow. And then come on down. So the next thing we'll do is we'll try our full bow. You could come back to the half bow or just the quad stretch. So you could be on your side for that quad stretch, on your stomach for the quad stretch, and you can come back to your first half bow. Otherwise, you can reach, depending again, arm length, right? If you bring your feet out wider, you might be able to have access to the feet, but then you want to bring those feet back in line with the hips. The feet are flexed. You roll your shoulders back, and then you push your feet into your hands, and that's going to lift your chest. Keep the legs down on the ground to get that stretch through your chest. And then you'll release down, release the arms, roll to one side, and bring your knees up to your chest. And we'll rest here on our side. for our final pose. Just a few more breaths, just stretching out the back. You can even bring your knees up closer to your chest, resting your head on your bottom arm. And then if you remember child's pose from the first session, let's find that as our last pose. So our knees coming wide and the toes towards one another, resting your head on your hands. And we'll breathe here for 3 more breaths. If it feels comfortable to use that ujjayi or that victorious breath, you can do so here for 3, for 2, and for 1. Now, of course, you could stay here longer if you like. Otherwise, we'll make our way back up and close our time together with one last um, little seated position here. You could sit on that cushion or on your towel or blanket. One last twist to the side. One last twist to the other side. And then coming back to center. All right, friends, we will see you in a week for our final class in the series of our beginners yoga. Please don't hesitate to reach out, ask questions. If you have any, concerns, well, what about this or that? I'm happy to answer them. I'll check the chat this week and next and see if there's something that has come up. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you next week for our final flow of our beginner series. So, putting all of the classes together from the last 4 weeks. And so be well. And if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. If you haven't gone and watched all of the other 2 classes, please do so. I invite you to do so. And we'll see you next time. Take good care until next week.